Hello from the City of London. Welcome back to Sims Serotonin. I'm Seema, your host, and we are all about actioning 3Gs, helping you grow, glow, and go for your passions and your purpose. Who do I have with me today?
You have Claire Darley, and thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on today, Claire.
You're so welcome.
So, Claire, can you please tell the audience a little bit about you?
Well, I just said I'm Claire Darley. I am currently the Vice President of Go-to-Market and Sales here at Adobe, but I've been working for more than 30 years in a variety of ever-increasing senior commercial sales, general management type roles. But I grew up in a really small town in Scunthorpe in the north of England.
Yeah.
I am married for more than 30 years now. And I have two children who are the light of my life, who are 28 and 26, two boys, James and Joseph.
Yes, and Joseph is great. I always bump into him in the kitchen.
He's awesome.
He has a very nice smile.
Yes.
Okay, you're smashing it at Adobe, obviously, and as in life. But who would you say you are beyond your role, Claire?
Well, I kind of just said it, right?
And beyond, like, I guess, roles in personal life. Like, genuinely, when you think about yourself, to you, who are you?
I am somebody, I'm a feeder. I like to make food for people and like nurture people and just make sure everyone's got things kind of like taken care of. That's at my heart.
Mm-hmm.
I'd kind of forgotten that because we moved house. We've moved a few times in the last couple of years because I moved to the US and then I moved back to the UK and I don't have a great kitchen, but I went back to my home and I was like cooking up a storm this weekend thinking, actually this is who I am. Like I just like to be feeding people, so I'm a feeder.
So you like cooking?
I love cooking, yeah.
Okay, what's your favourite meal to cook?
Anything. I'm a really inventive cook. I like to see what ingredients I've got and throw something together, so very intuitive kind of cook. Or like this weekend I just wanted something very green. I feel like I've existed on the crisps in the office for long.
They're everywhere.
They're really good though. I mean, I have to talk about the snacks in every podcast I do, but I just wanted something beautiful, so I made like primavera, a nice spring vegetable with pasta, but very light, very lemony, but with broad beans and peas and asparagus, and it was yummy.
So you're no longer doing gustos?
No, still doing gustos. Haven't had them for a while because I've not been in the same location for more than a few days at a time. But I actually really like a gusto box. In the middle of the week, you come home from work and you don't want to do that. Oh my God, what have I got in? What am I going to cook? I have to say my husband's a good cook too.
Okay.
And so he often does like the food, like if I'm coming home from work because he's retired. But he makes massive portions. And I'm greedy. I would eat them. So he would make like piri-piri chicken, and the mashed potato would be like this mountain, and I'd be like,
oh my gosh.
So I find the gustos good because they portion control me as well.
I love a good. In fact, I even have my simmer meals here.
Okay, I haven't tried simmer yet.
It's Italian chicken arrabbiata.
Okay, I put a little more effort in than stick it in the microwave.
Yeah,
I do
you
like
have to actually put the
I like to
together.
chop and prepare
You're
my
better than
ingredients. But it's like therapy. It's like really calming. And again, in the week when you're busy and your mind's kind of like just full, it's a really nice decompression.
Yeah.
It's the same reason that I like to come into the office. Even just spending 20 minutes on the bus to get home, it kind of creates that space between work and then home, and it just gives you that kind of that moment to I read my Kindle, I decompress.
What are you reading right now?
Oh my God, so I go through little runs of I always have some sort of obsession on the go, hyperfixation, people might call it. So at the start of this year I was like just like endlessly listening to podcasts. And then I started to listen to audiobooks. So I jumped from watching the TV show Rivals to then having to reread the book, which I'd read like 30 years ago. And then I was listening to books. I did some more Jane Austen, which I'm obsessed with.
Have you been to the Jane Austen Museum in Bath?
I haven't, no.
You should check it out.
Okay. Well, she was born really near where I live in Hampshire.
Oh,
so
really?
when I'm not in London, I'm in the country, and she was from there. I went to I went to Lucy Worsley Presents an evening about Jane Austen. She's written a book. Lucy Worsley is a very famous historian here in the UK, and so that was nice. I did that a few weeks ago, and James and Gabby, his girlfriend, she's as obsessed with Jane Austen as I am. So we were geeking out. Yeah, but right now I'm probably in my 12th book in a run of reading Jeffrey Archer novels. Who knew? But this is, what you need to know about me. I get these hyperfixations. Food that like bloody crisps in the office those veggie sticks.
Why is it the crisps? For me it's the chocolate. That's what I can't resist.
It's those veggie straws.
They're good.
They're my current kind of thing. But I will go through like a run where I'll eat the same thing at lunchtime for like a couple of months, and then it'll be done. And that's how I am with like books. So I'll get back into my podcast, but right now I'm kind of like, if you ever see me walking around the office, if I ever need to change the channel in my head, which is just the way I think about, like, again, this decompression zone, I often have a really crazy day where I'm sort of topic shifting, like from meeting to meeting. I really hate it, like when my day is like totally solid with 30-minute meetings. I always try and create a few buffers, and in those buffers you will most likely see me walking with a Kindle just to go and grab a drink and have 5 minutes, just to read a chapter, and it just kind of like changes the channel.
And you prefer doing that than not consuming anything at all for those 5 minutes? I do. That's the fastest way for me to kind of quieten the noise and sort of like move on. I love doing nothing. Like I really do like enjoy raw dogging, as the kids would say. I'm very here for that too. But raw dogging, I've never heard that.
This is going without tech. So there's this whole. It was so last year. You're too young for it. But it was this notion of, can you get on a flight and not have anything, like not watch any movies, not play with your phone, not be playing games, and just being. And I'm not sure that I've ever done an 11-hour plane ride like that, but I'm very comfortable in my own skin and being really sort of like quiet. But no, if I want to kind of change the noise or change the topic, then I'll read something.
That's very good. I'm glad that you know how to like actually use your you time well.
But I also do it in the night. So if I love sleep. Sleep is what makes me glow. I like to get a good sleep. And
are you the type who can't run on low hours of sleep?
No, I'm terrible. I'm horrible. But I pride myself on being a good sleeper. But when I'm stressed, it will be the usual kind of like 2:30, 3 a.m. kind of like you'll wake up. And so now part of my ritual is I can't sleep unless I know that my Kindle and my glasses are right by the side of my bed, just in case I wake up. And while I never touch my phone, ever, if I can't do it naturally, just swiping the things away in my brain, I will just read a page or two.
You'll just randomly wake up and start reading?
Yeah, and then but then put it down again, because it just I don't know, rewires what I'm thinking about.
Damn, it really is your escape.
Oh, I have totally tuned my brain into this.
Okay, I like that.
Try it.
You're inspired. I should actually. Last week I was at a run club and I met this girl, and we were heading the same way back on the Lizzie line, and she was showing me her Kindle, and she was really she really sold the Kindle. I never in my life wanted to get a Kindle that bad, but she raised a really good point, which was that you can like lie down and while reading on the Kindle, which is a problem with books.
She is so right. Well, and also you can read it in the night without having to turn the light on and wake everybody in your house, but also wake your brain up. You can kind of do it in that sort of like semi-state. The screen, can go warm or cool, and again, depending on how good your eyes are in the night. It's still in my glasses, but it's a cool thing, and keeps a track of how many books you read in a year. So a bit like Spotify Wrapped, you can get your what have I consumed this year. We all love a good data snack.
Oh, cool. And okay, so let's say you're not spending your free time on your Kindle, or let's say in the shower, because I'm thinking it would be a bit difficult to read while showering.
That's right, fair.
What are you thinking about? What's been on your mind, Claire? What's top of mind for you right now?
Well, it depends. So today I am doing a speech at the House of Commons.
You are.
So that was definitely on my mind this morning in the shower. And
But you shower in the morning, not night?
yes, no, I shower in the morning.
Why?
Oh, that's a really interesting question. I only ever shower at night if I'm getting up at an ungodly hour. Like if I need to be in the car at like 5, I will do it the night before. But other than that, no, it's just part of my ritual.
Waking up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but then that means I have to dry my hair. So that's what I was thinking about, which is have I got enough time to get in, shower? I did. Sorry, everybody. It's very hot out there.
Your hair looks nice.
Thanks.
What was the question? Oh yeah, what's on your mind?
Oh, what's on my mind? Yeah, so I was thinking about today, and today is a bit of a rush. I've been out this morning at a customer. I've just got back in. I've got some back-to-back meetings, and then I had to leave at 5, for this thing. And I literally just I had read my speech, but I hadn't said it out loud. And I think when you're preparing to do something. This isn't a presentation where I can't have notes. I can, it's a speech at the Commons, so I can take my notes with me as would be expected. But there's something really powerful about saying the words out loud. It helps you to, again, it's all these little hacks for like creating these neural pathways. It helps it to sort of sink in. You can see where you're tripping up over some of the words, maybe some alliteration or something. And then, by the time you've done it sort of 3 or 4 times, that's a really cool thing. And it's one of the pieces of advice people ask me all the time, because I do a lot of public speaking. How do you get good at it? Well, starts by saying you want to, and then by throwing yourself in and actually doing it. And I've seen you do it. Standing in front of the crowd of people coming to get food last week and picking up the mic. It starts there by saying yes and actually making your first set of actions. But one of the things I find powerful is if you are delivering a big presentation, especially one on a big stage, really do that prep. Literally say every word, record yourself saying the words, and then listen to it in your headphones so you can hear yourself. And then if you're still tripping up over the same things, go and change the script, re-record it, and you can be listening to it when you're doing something else as well. So you really are starting to internalize, what it is.
Yeah, I like that. And when it comes to public speaking, do you have something you do before? Like we've talked about Amy Cuddy.
Oh yeah.
Let's do it right now. Superhero.
Well, I'm going to do Wonder Woman. You can do superhero. Okay. I'll do Wonder Woman. Now, technically, and I don't want to do it, otherwise you'll only get me.
No, that's fine.
Okay. I would be standing, feet planted, legs apart.
Yeah.
Literally feeling the ground beneath my feet, hands in Wonder Woman or Superman, depending on how you want to do it. Make yourself big and breathe. It's like a little bit of mini meditation, and you're sending your stomach to the floor. You're getting a lot of oxygen in. You're filling up as much as you can your lung capacity. And you're basically trying to regulate your breath. And what the Wonder Woman pose does, it's magic. And this is, if you haven't watched Amy Cuddy's TED Talk, I truly advise you to do so. The power of the body to have an impact on the mind. So she has this powerful thing about how people who are struggling with their mental health make themselves very, very small. And I speak from personal family experience. Like I've seen people making themselves very small, and sadly in today's world when we're all on phones, and sorry that's my phone pinging, we make ourselves this kind of physiological shape. Is like we're making ourselves small, and actually it has a detrimental impact on your mental health by continuing to make yourself small. So what she does in Wonder Woman is completely the opposite, which is you're making yourself big and
take up space,
and it has an impact on your hormones. So your cortisol, your stress hormone, actually goes down. Your testosterone, your power hormone, goes up, and women have more testosterone than men actually. It goes up, and you just, and if you're breathing, you're getting the oxygen, you're getting sort of like control of your faculties in a good way. And for me in particular, it's about the voice. You know, when we get nervous, we get all up in our throat and it starts to get a little tight. And so breathing that stuff out. And if you're ever nervous and kind of keep doing the cough, which sometimes we do when we're getting nervous, then my top tip is hum.
I haven't read that.
So while you're in the bathroom doing Wonder Woman and you're humming to yourself and people are thinking, what on earth is Seema doing? It helps you to just get rid of that that little cough thing, that little nervous reflex. But the moment I start, I'm better. It's always those moments like before you just due to go on that you just get it. And actually that's really good because nerves are there for a reason. You know, if you can harness them and you can remember you've got to control them rather than them controlling you, then it's all good.
You take the control.
Take it.
I love that. And speaking about taking control over your nerves and remembering that you are bigger than them, this reminds me a lot about the topic of vulnerability, which we've talked a lot about. And Claire's been a great inspiration to me in being more vulnerable in my early career and realizing that there's a lot of power and beauty in it and being open actually. What would you advise to the audience on really embracing vulnerability, and how has it been a game changer for you?
I think I have a reputation of somebody who, you know, is truly authentic. So I hope so. I mean, certainly I'm not just saying, people have said that to me.
Agree.
And that comes from being open and being vulnerable. I want you to embrace it now and not try and pretend that everything's good. You know, just the same way that I would say to myself or I'd say to anyone even later in their career, it is masking the whole time is exhausting. It's so exhausting. And what we're really looking for is we're looking for people to bring their full selves, their authentic selves, you know, to work. Because if you're masking, you're also hiding some of those good ideas or the things that are going on because you might lack the courage to say them because you're trying to be so contained. Now, it's not an excuse for, shooting your mouth off. It's like people use the free, well, it's just free speech. I can just say what I want. It's like, you don't have to be obnoxious, but actually saying how you feel and owning that and understanding why. I think that's really the key that I've learned. I don't think I understood why I felt vulnerable at times. And actually that was just work that I did on myself to try and get to understand it. I always knew that I had a real sensitivity to disrespect. I have no idea where this came from, but
rightfully so.
I know, but it's like I think that I am somebody who leads with a sort of trust then verify kind of approach. I will let a lot of people in. I'm open door. But if somebody takes the piss out of that, it really offends me. And I think it's because I open my barriers and let people in. It's like don't disrespect that. That's actually it's actually a real valuable thing. But the more work I did, on myself, it's like actually respect was the term that I'd put on it. I'm a big about fairness as well. It's like got to be fair, and it's got to be you've got to treat people in the right way. But I think it comes down to this. Whenever I felt really truly triggered, the thing that it triggers inside me is that little girl who grew up in Scunthorpe who they're going to find me out and my house of cards is going to come crashing down, and actually I don't know what I'm talking about. And I think that is such a universal thing for us all, where we go, oh my God, you could say it your whole life, not just when you're an intern. You could be like, oh, why are they asking me? How do I know? I'm in my mid-50s now and I still think that, on occasion.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I had a moment a couple of years ago where I was really triggered, and it was kind of like wrapped up in everybody else telling me what the answer to something that I felt I knew was right, and I felt I'd done a really good job with as well, and I was getting lots of noise. And I've reflected on it since, and I definitely felt disrespected during that process. It wasn't the shame thing. I wasn't sort of like finding this little shame bubble inside me on that occasion. But yeah, I think it never goes away, right? You know, let's be really honest. You know, vulnerability is the other side of being brave. So every time you put yourself out there, you have to be prepared to fail. And so if you're not prepared to be vulnerable, you'll never really be successful. You might be a little bit successful, but if you really want to go and do something like wild, you have to be vulnerable. You know, otherwise you're going to be playing it relatively safe because you're going to do the things that you know you can do.
Yeah, there's a lot of, and what to your point earlier, actually it can unlock opportunities, because I found in my internship that the times that I've maybe spoken up about struggling with something like vulnerability to you, it led to a domino effect of many like doors being open. Like there was a time maybe I was struggling with something on a project, and then someone else was like, oh my god, me too, and so then we both went and found like an expert in the subject matter, and we understood it really well, and now we're asked to we're pulled in to explain that thing, you know what I mean?
That's right. I mean, you know, again, if you think that every one of us has to be fully baked before we can do anything, you know, that's just not how it is. You know, it's really important to, you know, especially in the world of work, but it's as true in life. You know, asking for help is a strength. It really is a strength. And you know, this is how communities are built. This is how relationships are built. You know, personal relationships as well as business relationships. So, you know, being able to put yourself out there. You know, the one thing I'll say about working here at Adobe, and one of my team said it this week, when people say, let me know if I can help, they actually mean it. It's kind of wild. I work for many companies, but it was the thing that I noticed really early on, and I've been here 10 years now. People will put themselves out for you. It's kind of remarkable. It's one of the things that makes Adobe really special.
Yeah. And you said you really like community. What does community mean to you?
Community is wherever it exists and however it exists. It's about finding your people, you know, finding your tribe, finding your people. And, you know, I think we all have many communities around us, you know, at work, you know, in our family, you know, in our actual physical communities and our neighborhoods. And it's about doing stuff for other people. It goes back to my feeder thing, you know, which is, you know, look after your community, feed your people, look after them.
Yeah. And in terms of your people, do you mean people who maybe you align, like, you know, that intuition, gut feeling, like energy-wise you feel aligned? How do you know who your people are?
Well, I already said I come from a trust and verify, so I you know, I let a lot of people in, but I just think it is really, I think you know pretty quickly, because your brain's a really powerful tool, right? You know, your brain is wired for us to be hunter-gatherers, and we're always scanning for danger, you know, around the edges. And so even as somebody that would genuinely be like an open person, if your amygdala, you know, fires, you know that something is off. And that's usually because, you know, the other person has demonstrated that they're self-interested or self-motivated. So they're not in it for the right outcomes. They're not in it, excuse me, for the cause or to do the right thing. It's about the right thing for them. And that is something which I think we have to listen to our gut and listen to our brains far more. You know, years and years of evolution has kind of like given us something really special. Let's use it. But I think that especially in a world of work, most people come to want to do a great job, and I think it's really easy to tip people into that non-selfish, you know, circumstance. It might not be the role model that they've had, it might not be kind of like where they've come from, but if you can get people excited and motivated by a superordinate goal, something that is bigger than them, something that is about a purpose, with energy and excitement around it, you can do anything. I mean, honestly, that's the secret of how you get stuff done in big companies. Have an idea, back it with data, and go and tell a story. And the story has to be, you know, emotionally connecting, and you will create followers.
Yeah. And an idea always stems from curiosity, doesn't it?
It does.
What
It does.
are you curious about right now, Claire? In life?
I'm curious about what the world's gonna look like in the next few years. Politically, macroeconomic, it's a challenge. It's challenging times, right? Really, really challenging times, and I worry about mankind. So I'm curious about like what needs to change. Interesting. Talked about like not being selfish and getting people motivated by something bigger. Countries have become more selfish. It's kind of interesting right now. Everyone's like out for themselves. I hope it's a season. It has been a season for about the last 10 years, and I hope it is a season, and we'll come out the other side, because humanity and the world needs us to. So that's a little doom and gloom for Sim Serotonin, but I am curious about that. How can we get people motivated by a bigger idea? And I put a lot of hope in you and your generation, and my son's generation, and hopefully all like the crazy decisions we've made over the last few years you guys will rip up and throw away. Clearly with our world, with what we do, I'm fascinated by AI. I have been obsessively using our tools, but also some of the external tools we've got at our disposal, just to help get ready for stuff and prepare stuff and synthesize stuff, and I just think it's ace.
Did you use it to prepare for today?
I did.
For your speech?
Yeah, I did. Well, actually, the speech that somebody wrote my speech for me. What a princess! David wrote my speech, which is amazing. But in order to like prep for the people that I'm meeting, and what's their point of view, and what do I need to know about them, absolutely. And for the customer meeting this morning, throwing in a set of data from like 4 different PDF sources, and then saying,
efficiency.
I know. Like, wow. Which is just really cool. It doesn't take away from the fact that I still have to synthesize that, I still have to communicate it, I still have to give my point of view. But some of the busy work, it's really helped with. So I love that. But, I'm curious about, what does it mean for the way that we search for stuff now? Is search all going to go to Claude or ChatGPT? Is a website's going to become a thing of the past? I don't know.
It's exciting, though,
it is
isn't
exciting.
Yeah.
It is exciting. And what I think and what I genuinely hope is, actually it provides more of a human experience for people. Right now, a lot of the way that we interface with companies is based on what system they've bought or what rules-based kind of guidance they've put in around their chatbots. But you imagine a world where you can actually have, an agentic experience, which is more of an experience. It's a bit more personalized, and rather than this kind of rules-based, it means that we'll engage with companies in actually a more human way. I can ask a real language question, a real human question, rather than did I phrase it in a way and I get your question is not found, waiting to transfer you to an agent. I think it could be cool. That's a good thing. And so less time spent doing that stuff, maybe more time spent doing real world stuff. More
human things.
More eating out, more going to see bands, more,
and
stuff.
With you said the word human. I love that word, and because even like the word personalization I used to love, but then I realized I prefer customization because it sounds more like human at its core, right? How does this evolution of the digital world, maybe allowing for more space to focus on the human things, like how does it make you feel, like emotionally?
Actually good. I think used well, then that it creates more space for, like, as a citizen, imagine interacting with the government in a much more human way, rather than kind of taking a ticket and getting in line. That would make me seen, it would make me feel seen and heard and respected and all of that stuff. And as long as there is access, and I think access is just an interesting one. We're relatively fortunate in the UK that people have typically got good access to Wi-Fi and broadband, but people don't have the same levels of affordability as they've had in the past, and so technology has to be an enabler. It can't be an inhibitor. So I think as long as we can, as long as we're playing to like the whole audience, and we had a family party a couple of weeks ago, and
fun.
I was exhausted. My husband's birthday, but we
birthday.
we had all of the grandparents down, the kids' grandparents, not mine, and they're like Andrew's parents are in their mid-80s, and actually pretty tech savvy,
Really?
savvy. Oh yeah, pretty tech
How
savvy.
so?
Well, Andrew's dad is a former headmaster. He's been retired for more than 30 years, but they're walkers. They live in the Lake District. They walk every day, and he literally writes a diary every day on his computer, and it's filed, and he puts photographs and stuff in it, and he just kind of files away the chapters. So God help our children who will have to read that at some point in the future. But this is he's pretty tech savvy. His mum has a phone, one of those really simple kind of Oppo phones, but she uses it to get WhatsApps from Andrew, which gets photos, but she really uses it as a telephone. But they were asking a question about landlines. Because of course you see old people and they always ask you tech questions, right? Because you work in tech. So the government, they're turning landlines off. They're turning the analog lines off, right? Because everything's gone digital. It's like, we're going to lose our service. And you go, oh, your heart breaks, right? Because they live in the middle of nowhere. They've had, in recent years, they've had like power outages that have lasted for 8 days up in the lakes. And they didn't move out. So they wouldn't move out. They wouldn't move out. Let me just say that again. Very stubborn, like post-war, kind of like, we'll tough it out. And I'm like, actually, no, your landline was already converted to digital a long time ago, so you should see no disruption of service. How would they know? Like, if you're in your 80s, how do you know whether you've got a digital phone line or not? I mean, who's going to tell you that? And so the fear of being cut off and being isolated, that's what we have to be careful of. Just make sure that what we're building is inclusive. And the thing with the pace of AI right now, somebody said this yesterday, so I'm just stealing it with pride. It's not like you can wait and see. It's not like you can wait and see, whether this becomes a thing and then I'll jump on the bandwagon. It's like compound interest. It's moving now so
Good
fast.
analogy.
It is a great analogy.
Yeah.
You can steal it as well. I'll let you.
I probably will.
Yeah.
Thanks.
But it is. It's like, don't wait. Get your toe in, get started. If you're worried about it, waiting until you've written the right process and the right protocols isn't going to help you. You actually might have missed the point by then.
Yeah.
But if you are worried, then make sure you start with a model that you feel is ethical. That would be my kind of like, go back to your values and go, right,
Values always.
Yeah.
And speaking of how you would start over, let's say you were in my position, Claire.
Mm-hmm.
You are in your early 20s, you are about to finish a placement year, and you're living in this digital world.
Yeah.
What would you do next? Like, okay, I have a bit of a summer ahead of me, a month and a half, and a year of uni. What would you like? Start something of your own? Would you continue in corporate? Like, absolutely from scratch. You have.
Shall I tell you what I did do, and then I'll tell you. So.
Oh yes, I love the
So
story.
I was an intern, and first of all I extended. So I extended for a month, and they kept me for an extra. I did 13 months rather than 12, and because an extra month's salary is kind of a big deal when you're a student. So I then only had a really short time before I went back to uni. So I went on holiday, and then had literally like a couple of weeks at home. Then I went back, and I didn't, other than trying to apply for a graduate job, I think I spent my first term spending too much money because I had money, and probably drinking too much because I was like, oh my God, I'm going to miss these people and this life and what it is. Pulled myself out of that one pretty quickly, thank goodness. What would I do if I were you now? Look, we've had many of these conversations, so you've kind of done what I would say, which is you make the most of every opportunity you have, while you're at this, at this point in your life and your career. You've done the hard thing, which is getting, the internship. You've spent the last year, literally getting to know everybody. I mean, the reason you and I met was because, we were sitting on desks next to each other and you're like, hi! Like, no side.
That was a Friday.
No one else. No, just you and me, kid, just you and me. And so no side to that, just, nothing to be gained or lost, just being curious and saying hi, I
didn't really know who you were, to be honest.
No, of course you didn't. I just moved back from the US and you'd just started. You were like in week 4 or something. So, it was, but keep that attitude of, saying hello to everybody and doing everything. Do I think you need to be cramming more experiences in? Well, you've got one, right? So you're building a channel. Keep on doing that, add in, I would say now, have you got a site, and how are we doing the SEO? Are you putting any money behind that? So you've spent a year doing digital marketing consulting, now apply it to your own business, and so you can actually say, this is what I've done and this is how I grew my followership, because it's not just about amazing content. It's also about those things. It's about how you're marketing. So, do it. You don't need to look, everybody, you don't need to look too far outside. Well, if
in 2025, if you were 20, 21?
And just starting out.
Yeah. Would it be? Would you have a startup? Is there a specific company you'd really want to go to? Would you travel the world?
No, I wouldn't travel the world, because I didn't have the money,
That's a factor.
And I still wouldn't today, right? So my parents grew up in this small town. I grew up in this small town, and so I was the first of my generation to go to university. So it wasn't like there was a path laid out, but I took that very traditional path of going to uni. I did an internship. I went back to finish my degree, and I fought tooth and nail to get the job. So I worked at IBM and fought tooth and nail to get the interview, because I wasn't at a blue chip uni. I was somewhere else, and then got the job. And so I was like on a path, and it was my naivety, but I love that naivety, which is this is what you do. I had to get a job, Seema. I had to. There was no such thing as content creators or travel vloggers or any of that stuff. And would I do that today? No, probably not. I describe myself as a disruptor, and I really like to disrupt businesses because I like to drive amazing outcomes for businesses and people. But would I have tried to do that on my own? No, I think I would still have tried to have found a community and worked, with other people.
Because you learn a lot from other people, don't you?
You do. I mean, that's where all of my learnings come from. Aside from the stuff where I've just screwed something up and then I go, that's a big learning. But a lot of it has come, especially in my early years, of being in an office and being around people. I mean, I still remember so vividly. We're sitting here at Old Street today, and just down the road at Moorgate, there was IBM had an office in Basinghall Street, and
your office was that close?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And so it was. I remember I was kind of split site between Welwyn Garden City and Basinghall Street, and I got off the train and I arrived at the office, and there was like one person like holding the phone going, and I can't remember, they said they gave me a name, and it was the name of a wine bar, and like the whole team were in this wine bar. Somebody had closed a deal, and everyone was celebrating, and I was like, wow, I want to do that. I want to do that. It was the proximity of seeing people and then going, wow, what do they do? How does that work? And it was honestly, you couldn't have got that remotely. So I'm a big advocate for being around people, hearing their conversations, hearing how they approach customers, thinking about like what do they wear, how do they hold themselves, how do they present themselves. Just think about it, you know, when you're growing up at school, your closest role models are your teachers, you know, so they have a particular style. Then you have your parents who you may accept or reject as their style is cool or not cool. But, you know, the more role models you can get, the better your life is. So actively look for them, actively look and see. So I think for me, I would be looking to join somewhere and get, you know, treat the first few years like another extended degree. You
to
know?
be a sponge, to expose yourself.
Literally, it's like, you know, like do another 4-year degree somewhere, and or maybe a couple of places, and you know, in that you're gathering skills, you're gathering learnings, but you're absorbing life.
Yeah.
You're absorbing life.
Yeah. And while absorbing life, Claire, how do you what does spreading serotonin mean to you? How do you spread happiness? From your perspective, because I have ideas. But.
So for me, it's just about being kind and genuine. I mean, you know, it's funny. Somebody told me yesterday that they'd done a meeting with me a couple of years ago, and she was like, it was obvious that there was something going on because they'd had another meeting and something else had happened, and they were like, quick, get out of here, like. But that's not my normal style, right? My normal style is I walk into the office in the morning and I greet the guy on the desk, and you know downstairs at the badge check-in.
Are you coming from men's?
I come, no, I don't come in one. No, they're like the non-Adobe guys.
Oh, they're really sweet, the guys.
They are, and I always say, hey, you know, I'm always like, hi, how are you? You know, like every time, every single time. Just, it is that, you know, we all just want to be seen. Right?
To be loved is to be seen. We
just want to be seen. That's all. And so, you know, that guy is on his feet from, you know, I'm always in early, and I'm usually one of the last. He's still there.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's worthy of a hello and how are you. So that's really important to me. You know, Victor, who does our snack, I'm sorry to be talking about the damn snacks again. He's an absolute gem. He's in Nigeria at the moment on his holidays, and you know, I was so proud of him. I came in a couple of weeks ago, and he said, "I have something to show you," and I was like, "What?" And he said, he came back to find me later on the day. He'd got an award because we'd been celebrating him in the office. You know, I'd said the best. You know, I'd written on the board the best thing about the office is fixed, and because he works for the facilities company, they'd given him like a little certificate, and I was like, oh, it made me really
so
happy.
Well deserved.
That just made me happy, and you know, just remembering everybody. You know, that's the community piece again, right? We're in an ecosystem, and everything works when it works, you know, when it all works.
And speaking of learning people, Victor is someone I learned from. Like, every day you walk in and he's got energy. Hey,
oh my
how you
God,
doing?
I know.
You know, smile on his face.
Right? I know.
And that's the attitude that you want to spread.
It is. It's like, you know, you want to try and be as consistent as you possibly can. Apart from, like, I'm really sorry, you know, Kristen, I must have had a face on, you know, this one moment a couple of years ago. But trying to be consistent is a really important thing. Again, balancing masking and being consistent. We're not always consistent, right? You know, sometimes we're up and sometimes we're down. You know, the way around that for me is we don't all love our jobs all the time. I've said this to you before, right? Your career is a long old marathon, several marathons actually, and you know, you might love the company, you might love the people, but the work you're doing just might not light you up for whatever reason. And again, sometimes it's seasonal, sometimes it's a project, sometimes, you know, it is just something that's not, you know, you might be good at it, but it might not bring you joy. So, you know, there are things like that. So, you know, the best thing for me is have more than your job, you know, have more than your job. And that's not just remembering that, you know, we only sell software and life is much bigger and richer. That I will always stand by. But like even at work, you know, have more than your job. So what you do, you know, with the community, how you bring people together, what you do with the interns, really, really powerful stuff. You know, that stuff fills your cup.
Yeah.
Because, you know, there'll always be somebody who is drilling holes in the bottom of the cup. That's usually your boss. Sorry, it's usually about, you know, there are things that get drilled into the bottom, and the water will be leaking. So have more than your job.
You're really going off with the analogies today.
I know.
The cup and the. I love it.
I'm storytelling. What did I say? The power of
yeah.
human connection is
Yes.
best in stories.
The power of human connection. Yeah, and you know how to sell something. Claire was the youngest in the IBM sales school, right? Ever.
I was.
Come
they're,
on.
they're probably younger now, but yeah, at the time I was the youngest to pass IBM sales school.
That's incredible.
Which was a terrifying experience, but probably the best foundation any seller could ever have.
Yeah. Well, we've learned so much from you today, Claire. Thank you so much, and also for being such a great role model to me and to many other people. Keep on the LinkedIn grind. Like, I've been missing your posts.
I know. I'm
lately.
sorry. I've been a little
I
busy.
want the video that you did at the time.
Okay, I'm going to. Well, I'm going to.
You have the content creator.
I am going to. I'm sorry. I'm going to the House of Commons this evening.
Document it.
I'm going to the House of Lords on Monday as well, so I'm doing a speech there too.
Okay.
So I should have some good content.
And you know what would be cool if you filmed yourself doing the Wonder Woman pose before? I would love. I think that would be good. That'd be fun.
I'm gonna get one of the team to video me.
Yes, do it. Do you have a final message to the audience, or recommendation for how they should spread serotonin today?
Well, first of all, let me just say massive thank you to you. You know, our sessions have been completely mutual. First of all, Seema literally grills me, which is amazing.
I ask a lot of questions.
It's like the opposite of like coaching and mentoring. It's reverse mentoring. So I am getting like schooled, which is great. But you really make me think, and that's a real blessing. So please keep that up. I think it's a huge skill. Retain that curiosity. You know, retain the questioning, and you do it.
Don't worry about that. I think you'll regret saying that. Did I tell you that back in school, one of my teachers had a chart for how many questions I could ask? Because I asked too many questions.
Well,
but I appreciate it.
Keep it going. And actually, I would say that to everyone else, right? Which is, you know, if the root of spreading serotonin is to see people, you know, to literally see them, then if I can just say, you know, one question that I want you to ask is, how are you, really?
How are you truly doing?
Yeah. It's like that extra word, not just how are you, but really. You know, I think it just adds so much more weight and power, because our natural instinct is to say, yeah, I'm fine, but it's like, you know, get under the hood of that, and allow people to be seen.
Love it. Perfect. Well, there you have it. Thanks everyone for spreading serotonin with us today. We hope this gave you serotonin, and have a lovely day ahead. Bisous.